and critical apps on your computer. Do you know how to make the most out of it? Stick around and find out. Hard for themselves without realizing it. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 power user. You're going to hear my Mac Whisperer power tip. Clarity, your Finder is this funny little thing of the computer. In fact, when nothing else is open or running on your computer, the Finder is running because it's the base level of your system. It's how we interact with everything. And a simple click on the Finder icon on your dock will open you up to a brand new Finder window. And these Finder windows are how we use the Finder and interact. And there's some really key pieces that we're going to talk about. Our first tip is the sidebar. Different pieces to it. Up at the top, it's got something called favorites. Notice that for each of these sections, there's a little arrow to the right that you can close or in end section is open. Down below that, we've got a second iCloud bar, which requires you to go through this complicated files, but you can it's inside of my work folder, inside of my TMW folder, inside of my 50 things folder. I need this and I need access to it quickly. So rather than having to go through that process of Dropbox, work, TMW, 50 things, I can take that folder and I can drag it right over to the sidebar in the favorites section. And it goes in whatever order I want. I can click on these and move them around to make sure it's customized for system. If I'd like to reverse that, I can click on the arrow and it will
customize the spotlights.
Hi, this is Gary with Mac scattered on your desktop. Maybe you've got no files yet, or maybe you have a bunch of files in other folders elsewhere. Now let's make sure we're in the Finder here. The Finder is the app that we use. Then you can go on the Recent list here. Recent is not a local to documents, and you can see here I've got an empty drive. So now I can organize everything. What a font of your. I'm going to do it again. So for instance, here's something that might belong in my personal in this icon view. Can make it hard to see all of your stuff. After the top view, and you to have some subfolders. So folder and drop my folders down. Another way to create working for you, change it are here. So I can click here to.
Okay, you've just got your hands on your verb. Adjust the brightness and volume.
Before we do anything, you have to obviously update your MacBook. So to do that, you're going to head up to the Apple in the top left corner of your screen, and then you'll go System Settings, General, and then follow. Step number 1, if you can't tell, my cursor is a different color. I'm so excited, it's so cute. I changed it to be fall colors, so kind of matching with my vibes going on here. So we're gonna show you how to do that. You're gonna go down to your System Settings, then you'll head to Accessibility, the darker, oh, that's a little dark folder.
The best way to organize files, like if you get a brand new Mac, how you want to keep it, how you want to organize all your file structures on your Mac so you can find everything later, and how to kind of clean your house. I'll get into that in a second. So stay tuned. I think everybody can learn a little bit about this or from this, even if you're an advanced user. Let's get into it. All right, so we all know how it feels if you have a very dirty house, right? When your house is dirty, you don't feel that good, right? Well, the same thing is with a computer. So when you clean your house, you feel much better, and the computer is the same way. The problem with the computer, though, is if you let it get kind of out of hand, let's say you kind of just let all your files and folders just go everywhere on your Mac or your computer, you're going to end up feeling really bad and you're going to feel kind of helpless on trying to fix that later, right? It gets such a mess that you don't even know where to start to go back to a clean Mac once again. And you feel like all your files are missing, you can't find things. So what I want to do is show you is just a simple way when you get a new Mac, or even if you don't have a new Mac, just what you can start right now and how you can kind of just basically structure your files and folders, where to save stuff, and how everything works just in a nutshell, just so that you're going to have a clean system. Keep it consistent with all your other Macs if you ever buy ones in the future, and just know, hey, I got a clean computer, I feel good. All right, just really quickly, this is really easy. So look at your desktop, right? You've all seen desktops like this with tons of folders and stuff, and I'm guilty of it too, right? We all do it. And that's not really best practice. So let me just show you what is. First of all, you want to just, obviously your desktop is basically just a folder, right? So I got a folder over here and a file over here. So if I go down to, Finder down here, open up Finder, and I move this to the middle, you're going to see on the left-hand side, here's your desktop kind of folder. I click on it. Here's the actual folder right there. See it over here? It's right in here. Here's the file right here. So if I create another folder, just like this, and I call it test, it's going to obviously instantly, right there, it's going to show up inside this folder. So just think of, when you click, just think of your desktop as a folder. Any file or folder you put in there, or any subfolders and what have you, you can get to over here in Finder. You click on the desktop and they're all in here, just kind of like under the desktop folder, right? Even though it's a little different. But in any case, that's kind of just one thing to learn off the bat. Of course, you'll see up here there's something that's not in that folder, and this yellow thing here is a hard drive, and that's basically because I plugged in an external SSD drive. It shows up there to show me that it's plugged in. That's a little bit different, but any folder or file you put on your desktop, you're going to see in that desktop thing in Finder. The problem is you just don't want a million things out here. That's not best practice, and I'm going to show you what is and how you should really structure your Mac in general. All right, number two, just to understand, then we'll get into the structure. If you go down to Finder down here and you click on Finder, you're going to notice it opens up this kind of recents folder. You'll see it over here. It always kind of defaults to that, and you're going to see all the recent documents that have been opened. Well, a lot of people think that's a folder, and sometimes they drag things in there thinking they can store them in there and stuff. That's not actually, recents is not a folder, right? This just lists recent files that you've had open before. So if I go ahead and click on any of these files, I'll just pick one, and you go down to your keyboard, hold the Option key down, and then hold it down for a second, then look down here as you're holding it. It's going to give you where this file actually is stored. You'll notice that it's not stored inside of the recents, folder. There's not a folder. It's stored down here under Desktop iMac 24, and then here's the name of the file. So any file you can do that with. You click on it, you hold down the Option key for a second, and watch, it'll just show up, like in about a second, it shows up down here. It gives you the path, all right? If you don't want to have to keep clicking the Option button, you can go, as long as Finder's open, go up to View up here, and then go down to Show Path Bar. Click on that, and you'll notice now that anything I click on, any file down here, it just changes this automatically, and it just stays there. So it always will give you that path without having to click the Option key. One thing to learn off the bat. Of course, you'll see up here there's something that's not in that folder, and this is yellow that you're going to see just recent documents that have been opened. Well, a lot of people think that's a folder, and sometimes they drag things in there thinking they can store them in there and stuff. That's not actually, recents is not a folder, right? This just lists recent files that you've had open before. So if I go ahead and click on any of these files, let's pick one. And
in this Mac tutorial, let's talk about your icon. For me, setting or a relaunch preference here at the bottom, and you can click that to relaunch Finder. If you just right click, all you'll see is hide down here. Even if you hold Option, it'll just say hide others. So you have to do this at the same time as your right click. The other thing that you can do is actually press Command, Option, Escape, and that brings up the Force Quit Applications dialog window, in which you can go to Finder, and it will launch itself back. And that should clear up any issues. If not, then just restart the same time as your right click. The other thing that you can do is actually press Command bottom, and you can click that to relaunch Finder. If you just right click, all you'll see is hide down here. Even if you hold Option, it'll just say hide others. So you have to do this at the same time as your right click. The other thing that you can do is actually press Command, Option, Escape.
Are your files not showing? Your computer's exactly the same thing. It actually has a giant library of all of your files, and an index is like a map of all of those files and where they're stored on your computer. So sometimes that map can actually get out of date. So you'll add a file, you'll rename a file, and for command spacebar. From there, you can type in system, a bunch of preferences. Now, depending on what version of Mac you're using, that says Spotlight Privacy, these locations inside of our hard drive. So look, and then click Choose. And now you can see it's going to say, are you sure you want to prevent Spotlight from privacy again?
How to add
हजार 80% of your success will be people success. आपको
जैसा मैं बोलेगी वैसा तुमको करनी पड़ेगी।
Bye.